Oh yeah.
Yeah, what up? Yeah. RKT appraisals in the building, RKT real estate and finance, whichever one y'all prefer. Let me know. You know what I'm saying?
And the website is popping, nigga. What the
It's
fuck?
back. It's the new website though, www.rkt real estate finance. So
Okay.
it's updated now. It's updated now.
Oh, see, I got it. So now it's RKT real estate and finance.com.
Yeah, just real estate finance. www.rkt real estate. www.rkt real estate. I'm bugging.
So www.rktrealestate.com.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna put that on the make that scroll at the bottom and shit. So that's it right there, realestate.com.
Yep. www.rktrealestate.com. Yep.
Got you. So that's the new joint. So you guys check it out. So today's topic is you have to crawl before you walk. So what's that about? Just go in.
Yeah, man. I mean, pretty much it's just like the topic says, crawl before you walk, baby steps. Nowadays we lived in a privileged generation. People are acting too privileged at the end of the day. Meaning where it's ridiculous. A lot of times I see a lot of people doing things that they shouldn't be doing. Meaning, I see people all the time that they can't afford Ubers, but they're too good to take buses. So that's why I say crawl before you walk. If you know that you can't afford to take Ubers, why are you taking Ubers everywhere? I see people they'll spend half their paycheck on an Uber when you live in New York City, and all you literally would have to do is jump on a bus, use a metro, take $2 to go there instead of paying $25 to go to one spot. So the whole point of this crawl before you walk is just really humbling yourself and really taking a look at your situation and doing things that you can actually afford versus just doing things just because it's easy.
Yeah, I think a lot of people need to do that because sometimes what happens is people do shit because they want the inconvenience, even though they can't necessarily afford doing the thing that's gonna be convenient for them. But then it's gonna be more inconvenient when they ain't got no money. You feel what I'm saying?
I think you gotta really pay for your time too. I think that's important because remember back in the day, even though there's Uber now, we always had taxi services. But point is, we always had especially in New York, we always had a way to get around. But
right.
if you're running late, you have to pay for your time. So it is convenient to hop in the Uber and do it. But all in all, you really can't afford it. So it's like what it is that I feel like you gotta budget your time better. I think time management is one of the most important things when it comes to crawling before you can walk. Because I promise you, if you manage your time better, you'll have time to wait for that bus, you'll have time to wait for that train, you'll have time to get from point A to point B without the expense. But a lot of times, we don't do that because we're worried about being on time instead of being early. So then when that happens, we're just like, how can I say it? We're literally paying for what we don't prepare for. And that's what really happens, at the end of the day. And there are some people who can afford to do those things at all times, to where they can afford Ubers all day, every day. They can afford to get the new 2023 Audi that just came out. They can afford these things. So then they don't have to wait. They can live up to their standard life of living. But most people, they get caught up in Instagram and TikTok and all social media, and they see other people in their lifestyle and they're trying to mimic that. And the truth is, yeah, you'll get there one day, but you're not ready for that yet. And so then they end up falling further and further behind because they're trying to be 2 steps ahead.
That's some real shit. I think, definitely like people trying to mimic other people and doing the things they see other people doing, but they don't even really know what those other people got going on. So they trying to compare themselves to these other people, but they don't realize, like, for example, they might see somebody on Instagram, doing certain things, and that person on Instagram don't really got no money, but they dad got money. You know what I'm saying? That's why they able to do that type of shit. Right. But they think that, oh, well, if they could do it, then I should be able to do this shit too. And they see more and more people doing the same thing, and they don't want to feel left behind. So it's like a lot of it too is also, I think if people don't appreciate where they're at, it's going to be hard for them to get where they want to go and then even appreciate that shit. So I think a lot of times it's like just appreciating where you're at, but also you can still try to get better, but you can't fucking, overstep it at this point, because you're gonna fucking get yourself in more of a deeper hole, I think. Especially because, you guys talk about credit cards and stuff. I think people will use credit cards not for anything that's purposeful, but for flossing and fronting and trying to, get a bunch of bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But yeah, so what do y'all think about, like, if a person is trying to step up their shit, what should they do specifically, though? Because let's say you're working at McDonald's, you know what I'm saying? You're just there making the same amount every 2 weeks. And after you pay whatever pay for, you still got $30 left for the week or some shit. And you can't really do nothing, but you want to, start taking Ubers instead of the bus, and you want to, like, go to the party in the weekend or whatever. What's your thoughts on that shit?
Here's what I would say. I think that there's levels to everything, right? Now, if you're using an example as far as McDonald's is concerned, that's one of the lowest levels when it comes to income, right? So the truth of the matter is, when you in that position, I spoke about this the other day. You have to be a little selfish with your process, and there's very little that you can do. Why? Because there's very little that you're making as far as your income.
Mm-hmm.
So, you shouldn't really be taking Ubers if you work at McDonald's, because the amount of money that you have after all your expenses is concerned, you probably have very little to none. So if you are working at McDonald's, the answer is not to take Ubers. The answer is to get another side, either stay there, get another side gig, or leave there for more money. Because at the end of the day, remember, time equates with money. The more money you have, right, the more that you can spend, and you can do so within a certain time frame. And people have to realize that. So if you're working at McDonald's, you shouldn't be taking Ubers. If it's an emergency, I get it. But if it's not an emergency, you shouldn't be taking the Ubers, because your pockets literally can't afford it.
Right.
Any sense?
Right.
And I mean, to jump into what I say too, because I don't want to over focus on the McDonald's thing. I ain't gonna lie though, because the truth is, McDonald's workers be getting paid. Let's not play around anymore though.
They don't. What it is that,
but I mean,
income. Let's talk about the income though. Let's talk about the income.
Correct.
Because the cost of living in every single state is different. So no matter
that
what
is
state
correct.
you live in,
But for example,
they're equating it to the low level of income. It doesn't matter. If you're in New York, you might get maybe $14, $15 an hour. But the cost of living is so high that $14, $15 an hour is still low income. There's people in other states who are getting $8, $9, $10 an hour. But because the cost of living is a little bit lower, it still equates to the same amount. So what I'm saying is that if you are at a low level income, I'm not saying it to be harsh. What I'm saying is that if you are taking Ubers and you are spending unnecessary money when you are at this low level income, you are doing something wrong, because you're trying to catch up and keep up with the standardized level of living for the average person. When a job like that, you're below the average. I'm sorry, it is what it is.
No, I agree. I agree with that. Though. I agree with that. I was just saying as far as the McDonald's piece itself. But no, I agree with that. You actually got to match your income to what you're doing, because that's the real core of it. Like you said, matching your income. Because at the end of the day, like you said, if the cost of living is so high, it really mathematically doesn't make sense if you only make $10 an hour, but at the same time, your rent is $800. It still doesn't match up. It still isn't equivalent. So at the end of the day, you should be matching your income with your lifestyle. Meaning that if you can't afford a car payment, then you can't afford an Uber. That's the correlation right there. If you can't afford a car payment, that means you can't afford an Uber. Why? Because the average car payment is $300, $250 a month. Car insurance probably $150, so $500. So if you're spending $50 a day on an Uber, $50, and you take Uber 4 days out the week, mathematically that's $200. 4 weeks, you know what I mean? That's $800. So you're actually paying more on an Uber. So I think, to Ms. Lakari's point as well, is matching your income based on your lifestyle and where you're at, and if it makes sense, so you should not be, like I said, if you if you can't afford a car payment, you should not be taking Uber. You should be taking a bus. I mean, other aspects of life is, if you make a certain amount of money, you shouldn't be going to the movies 2-3 times a month. A lot of big one is with kids. People with kids, this is a huge one. Stop spoiling your kids and making them overprivileged and trying to provide a lifestyle you didn't have, and you're going broke while doing so. And that's like a huge thing with a lot of people that have kids, where they're buying all these nonsense, throwing, crazy birthday parties for kids, all this type of stuff. It's like, you got to crawl before you walk. You don't have to celebrate every single birthday with a party for your kid. Like it's not needed.
Especially
You know,
they under
that's a
5
big
years old.
thing.
Especially if they're under 5. Like,
Correct.
I know, we all know, right? Caribbean households, they want to have parties every year. The kids not even they're young enough to not even know what's going on. They don't know what's going on, but yeah, you having a big bashment for them. For what? Right? And it's not even for the kid. It's for the parent, really, at the end of the day. I think that a lot of times too, but because everybody's in different places in their everybody's in different places in their life, right? So depending on where you're at. So for example, a person who just graduated college with no kids is someone who's in a different position. Someone who graduated college with 2 kids. You're in two different positions, even though you both just graduated college, right? So even okay, to start up a business, right? A lot of people want to be business owners, and which is a great thing. But before you can even be a business owner, you have to just know how to be self-employed.
Right.
What do I mean by that? So let's take McDonald's as an example, right? When, as a self-employed person, you are everything. You're dropping fries, you're taking orders on a register, you're making the food, you're doing everything. You're counting the money, you're doing everything. As a self-employed individual, you don't graduate to business owner, you don't start walking, right, until you have employees or people or business partners that you're connected with that can help you drop the fries, that can help you take orders, that can help you in the kitchen. So you no longer have to do those things. You now can focus on the other aspects of the business, as far as doing things to make the business better, more innovative, marketing things to where you can increase your profit when it comes to business. But you can't even think about that. You can't even walk yet until you have crawled and did the things necessary to even get you to that point. But everybody wants to automatically skip those baby steps and go straight to getting all the profits. So I think that's super important. Everybody's in a different stage in their life, so people got to know where they're at, where they want to go, and how to get there. And if you call RKT Real Estate and Finance, we can definitely help you out with that process. But yeah, I feel like that's the biggest issue. I feel like everybody's in a different stage and level in their life, and they want to do what the person who's at level Z, and they're only at level B or C, and it doesn't work.
Did y'all hear that story of the chick who worked at Home Depot, and then she was like, she's too pretty? This chick right here. Hold on, let me see if I can put the joint.
Yeah, I heard about that today. Yeah.
No, what happened with that?
So there was this chick. Her picture's going viral because they were saying that she put up a picture of her working at Home Depot, and people are like, "Oh, you're too pretty to be working at Home Depot." You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Right. So, and then Shaq hit her up in the DMs, I guess.
Shaq?
Yeah, Shaq hit her up in the DMs, and I guess he was like, just saying, hey, what's up or whatever. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. But the thing is that all these people, there was people in the comments, or it went viral because it was like, oh, you're too pretty to be working there. You feel what I'm saying? And then so the thing is, it was weird about that whole shit to me is because we talk about like people working, people trying to move up, people trying to make shit happen. Is that yes, you said she about to get a modeling contract in the chat. I don't know if that's true, but the thing is like, let's say she's like, I want to do something more than work at Home Depot or get more money or to make shit happen or whatever it is like that, right? Do you think that there's certain things, because to me, I'm like, she might as well get an OnlyFans at this point and start making some paper. But my question to you guys is, do you think that there's certain talents or things that people can do to get to that next level? And if there is, right, what are the steps that people need to take so that they can start walking instead of crawling? You know what I'm saying? Because if they're doing all this stuff, it's like, how do you get from the crawling to the walking? How do you get to that next level? What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, my thoughts is just recognizing and acknowledging what you're good at, and also recognizing what you're passionate about.
Right.
Once you're able to identify those two things, you can make moves in any direction. The problem is most people don't recognize and acknowledge what they're actually good at, and most people don't know what they're passionate about, what they really love. So if you know what you're good at, the people have spoken. They said that you should have your OnlyFans page or be doing something else, modeling or something. The people have spoken. So an individual like that, she needs to utilize what she has going for her. And that's how you make money. That's how you could run before you crawl, run before you crawl or walk before you crawl in that type of situation. Right. You know what I mean? And so it's clear that she hasn't acknowledged what her skill set or what she's clearly talented at, but it has now been identified that, hey, you can make mad money on doing an OnlyFans page. And that's why the public is so upset, because they're like, if I had your looks, these other females, whatever case is, I would be doing X, Y, Z and making this money. Right. And Shaq jumping in her DMs verifies that. So the people really are subconsciously mad that she's not executing on what she could be making money on. And that's why it's vital, like I said, to identify what you're actually good at. Because if you identify what you're good at, what you're skilled at, whether you like it or not, you can make money on it. Meaning that if you happen to play, your parents force, a good example, your parents force you into a sport, playing football. You don't like it, but it turns out you got a lot of skills. You don't have to love it, but you can use that and turn that into a college career, you know what I mean? College paid for, and make you more money. You know what I mean? And during that journey now, you can figure out what you're passionate about, what you really love, but you use that as a gateway to starting to walk before you actually crawl. So in those situations, I think is just really identifying those two things and acting upon those two things once you're able to identify one or the other.
And I agree with that to a degree. I think that you can start walking before you crawl to a degree. Now, this person that you're talking about, right? Let's use her as an example. Now, Shaq hits her up, right? Let's say if she gets on the OnlyFans page. That's only gonna last but so long, because her looks are going to fade. She's not gonna look good forever, right? And it's important for not only people to recognize what they're good at, but actually put in the work and have the skill set to do what they need to do. Because if you walk before you start crawling, you're going to fall. There's no way around it. You must put in the work. You must put in the work. So whatever you recognize and identify that you're good at, then you take the proper steps into getting better at that skill set. Then once you do that, now you have a foundation of you elevating from that point and have a better chance of succeeding. Because other than that, then at some point you'll fall. And I'm talking from experience. I've been in the financial service industry for several years now. And I want to say 5+ years, right? I'm now, within the past year and a half, understanding certain things that would have went over my head, because at first I started to walk before I crawled. And what happened? I fell. And before I got back up, I had to crawl first. I had to get back to the basics. I had to master certain things that I was just doing casually. Right. And because I was doing it casually, I became a casualty in the business for a little bit.
Oh, that's bars.
You get what I'm saying?
Y'all know about that. That
was bars. Talking from experience, there is no cheat code.
Right.
You must crawl before you walk. And it may take you 2 years, it may take you 5, but I promise you it'll be worth it in the end, because you'll be a lot better in so many different areas when you act whatever industry or whatever profession that you were doing.
That's crazy. That was some bars right there. So what does this guy say? He said, at my night job, I take orders, cook the food, and deliver the food myself. It's fast paced and keeps me on my toes, preparing me when I get my ghost kitchen set up. Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up.
100%. You can't get a restaurant without knowing how to cook first. You must. And shout out to whoever that was. I didn't see who that was, but shout out to that person. 100%. You must have that kid. You must learn how to do things before you even get your own restaurant.
Certified with great looks comes great responsibility. That's the fact. But what you said, Rashidi, was deep though about the chick, the cute chick at Home Depot, was that you're saying that subconsciously these people was like, well, you look a certain way, so you could probably use their looks to make money, but you're not. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That's an interesting thought, because sometimes you have people that have something that they can use, but they're not, and they could really be making something happen with it. And it's not necessarily she needs to do OnlyFans, but there could have been something that she did with it, if that's the case. That, like, especially if now that, okay, you've gone viral and people seen you or whatever, like, okay, let me try to use this to my advantage.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? In some form or fashion. But you know, that's that. But also that I feel like that comes with having like, sort of like a business mind. Because even, for example, like even for people that want to run businesses, a lot of times what helps you run a business is, when we talk about crawling before you walk, is having like a side hustle first. Because the side hustle prepares you for running a business, because you're doing something on the side that you're totally responsible for making happen. And then if you're able to hustle and do that, then it's like, okay, well, maybe I could actually have a full-time business that I'm doing, because I knew that I'm able to do it because because I was able to hustle with this side thing that I was doing. You feel what I'm saying?
100%.
And I mean, go ahead, Miles. Okay, you gonna say something?
I was just gonna say that so if you guys go to masculineidentitymembership.com, I have a whole video that talks about being grateful, and gratitude is something that I always like. I'm always a proponent of that. I always talk about that because like I was talking about how people might have a talent, or they might have something going on that they can monetize, but they just don't see it. And a lot of times the reason why they don't see it is because they're not grateful, right? They don't know how to see the greatness in things. That's why I think that's why they call it grateful, right? Where you can see the greatness in things around you, where you're able. So if you go crawl before you walk, the gratitude is what allows you forward mobility, period. You understand? Because you understand what you can do with what you have right now. You know what I'm saying? You can look at your life and see the special things in your life that you have now, the gifts that you have, the talents that you have, the ideas that you may have, the network that you may have. You may have friends, family, or otherwise that can help you do something. But a lot of times, unless you are like thinking positively or being grateful and understanding your position and understanding the bright side of your position, it can be hard for you to really understand forward mobility, or to understand that you can start to crawl from now. Because a lot of people don't even have enough enough of a positive mindset to even think they could crawl, much less walk. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of times we gotta, being grateful is important, because it allows us to see what we have, like what resources that we already have that can help us. Like I always like to talk about the two shoe salesmen. Both salesmen walk into a town where nobody's wearing any shoes. One salesman leaves the town because he's like, I can't make no money here because ain't nobody wearing no shoes. And the other salesman stayed in town and became a millionaire because he was like, yo, I'm gonna clean up in this town because ain't nobody wearing no shoes. So, it's a mindset thing too. So I just wanted to say that part.
Yeah, no, I agree, Miles and Mr. Locario, that that comes back full circle. Being grateful is true, because I mean, a perfect example. I'll be honest with you, like, even to the comment before, where with great looks comes great responsibility. You know what I mean? As a young kid, people always said, "Oh, you got a nice smile." That's why I stay cheesing, because that opens up doors for me. You know what I mean? Like and believe it or not, even going back to Ms. Locario's point, you know what I mean? Sex does sell. And the reality of the situation is, if you're an attractive person, you are more likely to be successful if you really apply yourself. Let me rephrase that. You're more likely to be more successful. I don't want to say, I'll say less than the less attractive person if you apply your skill sets to the best of your ability. And it's a harsh reality. Whether people want to admit it or not, it's a harsh reality. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where that's why that person in that situation, she can use her skill set a lot easier, a lot faster to get ahead a lot faster, versus someone that does not have that particular attractive feature. They're going to have to work harder. And they might have identified a lot harder. And clearly some of the people in those comments identified that, hey, you know, I don't have your looks like that, so I can't do what you do. And look at you over here wasting your looks. Like, that's the reality of the situation. So it definitely comes full circle based off what both you said.
She has the looks, but doesn't have the confidence.
Right.
Exactly. Right. That's
so
real shit.
Her looks only going to get her butt so far because she's confident enough to go that extra distance. Because even just in today's society, how people go viral over the stupidest, craziest things, and half of them don't even look good. But they were just like in I don't care mode that they were able to go viral. And like I said, they didn't even look good, but their confidence was up there. I think that's important too. When it comes to crawling before you walk, I think like what Miles was saying, the mindset. I think also your confidence level has to be there, right? And even if you're not that quote unquote physically attractive, make yourself somewhat physically attractive. Make sure when you leave in the house, make sure you look good, make sure you smell good. You know, make sure you know your clothes are on point. You know, those things help when it comes to stepping out into the real world, even on social media. People, those things, perception is everything, and how people perceive you or how they're going to treat you, right? So you just got to understand that those things are important. And as far as depending on what your goal is, and this is the reason why I say either call RKT Real Estate and Finance, right, or hit us up on the site. You get a book consultation, or go over with you whatever your goals is. Will help you crawl before you can walk, and in the best way that we can, because you know, like I said, everybody's goals are different. So depending on what your goals are, will help tailor to your goals and your needs.
Real shit. So any last things that you think people should know about? Because I think you know, it's very important, like you were saying, that some people try to walk before they can crawl, and then they fucking fall. You know what I'm saying? That's a fact. Because I feel like people think that getting to a high level of anything is easy. You see what I'm saying? And so sometimes they get handed shit. Sometimes they get, you know, put in a certain position, but they can't maintain it because they never crawled before in that situation. So what's any last things you want to tell people before we wrap it up?
No, just go to the website and book a consultation where we can really take a look at your life and tell you what you need to do and the steps you need to take. Yeah.
That's what's up. So make sure you guys go to rktrealestate.com. rktrealestate.com is the website. You feel what I'm saying? So make sure you guys do that and get that shit cracking. Yeah, man. So we'll see you guys next week. Well, hold on. We got one question real quick. He said, is renting before buying a house a crawl before you can walk situation?
Sort of, because you got to learn how to be able to pay a mortgage, and so right now you kind of practicing paying rent. You know what I'm saying? So in a way, yeah. I mean, because if you figure out a way to get enough cash flow where you could pay your rent, then that means you could pay a mortgage. So you know, you can look at it that way if you want to.
I agree. I'll add to that too. With that said, the way that you can match paying rent is getting a condo. You know, where it's just like an apartment. So I'd attach that too, though. But yes, I agree with that 100%, Miles.
Kid Frankie, hit up the website, book the consultation. We will talk more about that. Good question.
Word up, son.
All right, people. So we'll holler at y'all later. And remember, the truth is inside you. Peace. We gone. We out later.